malakas.
It was the first time I experienced something that strong that I really couldn't stop myself from tearing up.
We panicked because it was really strong. We got really scared. It was traumatizing.
It's difficult to accept as a mother, to know that my son is still trapped there now. I don't know. It's difficult to accept.
On the 8th of June, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck the southern Philippines. The earthquake left at least 40 people dead, more than 400 injured, and many more were forced to flee their homes. The powerful quake triggered tsunami alerts and warnings across parts of the Pacific, including Japan, Indonesia, and Taiwan. More than 138 aftershocks with magnitudes ranging from 1.3 to 6.7 followed in the hours that came after. Videos from the ground showed buildings collapsing, including a clip of Jollibee fast food restaurant reduced to rubble.
After nun, biglang lumindol.
After that, the earthquake suddenly struck and I wasn't able to take a video. My niece told me, "Auntie, there's an earthquake." We stood up briefly and waited, thinking it might stop, but it didn't. The shaking continued. Then it suddenly became stronger and debris from the ceiling started falling little by little. That's when I held onto my niece and ran outside.
Roads cracked and landslides swept through some communities. For many Filipinos, it was a reminder of a reality they know all too well, because earthquakes and other climate catastrophes are not unusual in the Philippines. Year after year, the country finds itself facing some of the world's most powerful natural disasters. The Philippines sits in one of the most geologically active regions on Earth. It lies along the Pacific Ring of Fire, a vast zone where major tectonic plates meet. Just this year, the world saw this spectacular sight. A fireball meteor was captured behind WION volcano in the Philippines, a stunning scene over one of the most active volcanoes of the world. The Philippines is also located in a part of the world that regularly experiences tropical cyclones. The result is a country that faces multiple threats at the same time, from major earthquakes and volcanic eruptions to powerful storms, flooding, and landslides. Over the years, these disasters have shaped the country's history, its cities, its economy, and the lives of millions of people. Less than a year ago, a 6.9 magnitude earthquake tore through the Visayas, killing at least 79 people and injuring over 1,200, making it the deadliest earthquake that struck the Philippines since 2013. But why does this keep happening? On WION Wideangle this week, we look at why the Philippines remains one of the most disaster-prone countries of the world. Which are the other natural disasters that have hit the Philippines? And how have past disasters changed the way the Philippines prepares for the next one? At around 7:37 a.m. local time on the 8th of June, a powerful earthquake of magnitude 7.8 struck the southern coast of the Philippines. The epicenter, the coast of Sarangani province near the island of Mindanao. The earthquake occurred at a depth of about 33 kilometers beneath the seafloor. Although its epicenter was offshore, it rocked several parts of the southern Philippines. Within minutes, residents rushed out of homes, offices, schools, and shopping centers as buildings swayed and power supplies were disrupted. The initial earthquake was followed by a strong aftershock measuring 6.1 in magnitude. In the hours that followed, more than 100 aftershocks were recorded, keeping many residents on edge and complicating emergency response operations.
The event of yesterday was relatively deep, about 55 kilometers depth, which is the reason why a magnitude 7.8 didn't produce a disaster even much greater than what it was. If it was shallower, for example, and inland, close to the cities of the Mindanao Island, well, the damages and the death tolls would be much, much higher than that.
The hardest hit areas were located in and around General Santos City, one of the largest urban centers in southern Philippines. Several low-rise buildings collapsed, while many others suffered structural damage. From supermarkets to warehouses to schools and commercial buildings, almost every structure was affected. Power outages were reported in multiple communities, disrupting communications and hindering early relief efforts. The earthquake also forced the temporary closure of General Santos International Airport. Several domestic flights were cancelled as authorities assessed the condition of critical infrastructure. In Sarangani province, the earthquake triggered a landslide in the municipality of Glan. The landslide buried parts of a village and claimed multiple lives, adding to the overall death toll. In a video shared by Mahayahay Elementary School on social media, school children were seen screaming and crying during the quake. Look at these visuals. Soon a canopy roof collapsed where the students had assembled. In a statement posted to Facebook, the school confirmed no one was injured, thanking staff and pupils for staying calm and orderly throughout the situation. In another video captured by an eyewitness, students can be seen running as the school building collapses amid the quake. An eyewitness captured the moment a building housing a Jollibee fast food restaurant collapsed in the southern Philippine city of General Santos. Footage showed the building's upper sections suddenly collapsing onto the ground floor restaurant. Bystanders screamed and retreated as thick clouds of dust engulfed the street. The government employee Janelyn Dinaga said the trauma was intense for her children after experiencing a deadly quake rock her hometown. She recounted her horrifying experience when she was having breakfast with her niece inside a Jollibee fast food restaurant. She managed to capture the moment of the building collapsing.
Before the incident happened, I dropped my daughter at Dadiangas West Elementary School. After that, we went to Jollibee to have some snacks and wait for the mall to open, since we needed to buy something for the needs of my daughter. After that, the earthquake suddenly struck and I wasn't able to take a video. My niece told me, "Auntie, there's an earthquake." We stood up briefly and waited, thinking it might stop, but it didn't. The shaking continued. Then it suddenly became stronger and debris from the ceiling started falling little by little. That's when I held onto my niece and ran outside.
Police later said that the 3 trapped victims have been rescued.
So far, they're out. The employees from Jollibee are all accounted for. The 3 victims trapped inside were rescued, so those are the details we have.
Because the earthquake occurred beneath the sea, authorities also issued tsunami warnings for several coastal areas. A tsunami wave of about 1 meter was recorded along parts of the southern Philippine coastline. While the wave was relatively small compared to some of history's major tsunamis, it still caused localized damage in several coastal communities. The effects of the earthquake were not limited to the Philippines. Smaller tsunami waves were detected in Indonesia, Palau, and even parts of southern Japan, highlighting the regional impact of the event. As damage assessments continued, search and rescue teams were deployed across the worst-hit areas. Crews searched through collapsed structures for survivors, while emergency shelters were established for those displaced by the disaster. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered the suspension of classes in affected regions as a precautionary measure. Residents in southern Philippines expressed grief after the earthquake jolted the region. The residents in the worst affected location, General Santos City, recalled the fear they felt as tremors shook the area, saying they were unlike anything they had experienced in the past.
It was really strong. We've been through several earthquakes here before, but the one that happened earlier today, it was much stronger. My tears started to fall. It was the first time I experienced something that strong that I really couldn't stop myself from tearing up. I thought about my children and my niece. What if something had happened to them? Thank God they're okay, but my siblings' house collapsed.
65-year-old Dioslinda Deluvio, who is a resident of General Santos City, sat outside the ruins of a collapsed commercial building, clutching her phone and scrolling through photos of her son, feared dead after the earthquake. Deluvio was no longer waiting to be reunited with her son Joey after rescuers told her there was no heartbeat detected.
Around 2 or 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon, one of my children told me I should go to Save More Kalumpang supermarket. They said that's where my son Joey was on duty. His sibling told me that he was trapped there. The last message I received was that the search team will arrive the next day for the retrieval, but it's not a rescue, because there's no longer any heartbeat detected. One of the rescuers went there and there was no heartbeat.
These tents have been set up under a scorching sun. Doctors treated patients here, including helping a young mother give birth after the earthquake. In Glan municipality, staff at a hospital said more than 60 patients were on beds outside the facility due to fears for the building collapsing. Following the earthquake, thousands of residents in affected areas, particularly around General Santos City and Sarangani, were forced to spend the night outdoors, taking shelter in tents, makeshift evacuation centers, or open spaces due to heavy damage to homes and the threat of severe aftershocks.
We decided to set up our tent outside because it's difficult if we stay at the boarding house. It's hot and there's no electricity, and it's also dangerous there.
We thought of staying here outside so that if there are aftershocks, we won't have a hard time evacuating from the second floor. We're afraid that we won't wake up on time once there's an aftershock. I was really scared earlier, but I stayed calm and we immediately headed out to the street.
Residents left homeless by the disaster struggled with food, water, or shelter, even after 3 days. Damaged roads continued to block relief teams from reaching the hardest-hit communities. Landslides triggered by the quake collapsed homes and buried roads across Sarangani province, leaving many survivors to fend for themselves amid the rubble. Look at this drone footage. You can see excavators clearing debris from blocked roads as residents pick through the wreckage of destroyed homes to salvage their belongings.
Our problem now is how we can renovate our house and rebuild it, because we really don't have any budget. What we are most afraid of is our financial situation. We have no water and no rice. Even a small amount of aid hasn't arrived, not even a little. They said the roads here are badly damaged, so maybe that's why they can't reach us, because of the condition of the roads.
This earthquake is now being counted among the most significant natural disasters to hit the Philippines in recent years. But to understand why such events occur so frequently in the country, it is important to look beneath the surface. The country sits on one of the most geologically active regions on Earth. It lies along the Pacific Ring of Fire, a 40,000-kilometer belt that surrounds much of the Pacific Ocean and is responsible for about 90% of the world's earthquakes and most of its active volcanoes. The Philippines is positioned at the meeting point of several tectonic plates, including the Philippine Sea Plate and the Eurasian Plate. These massive slabs of the Earth's crust are constantly moving. As they collide, slide past each other, or sink beneath one another, pressure builds deep underground. When that pressure is suddenly released, it triggers an earthquake. The country is also home to dozens of active volcanoes, many of which have produced deadly eruptions throughout its history. But geology is only part of the story. Situated along the Pacific typhoon belt, the archipelago sees an average of 20 tropical cyclones enter its waters every year. Every year, powerful storms bring heavy rainfall, flooding, and landslides to different parts of the country. The result is a nation exposed to multiple natural hazards at once.
The reason is because the convergence between the Pacific plate and the Celebes Sea plate, they converge and they go down into the mantle. And this motion is called, this phenomenon is called the subduction zone. And we have such an important release of energy that is released by earthquakes, volcanoes. So the mantle is melting and generating also the magmatism. But the earthquakes are generated by the relative motion between the different plates. In particular, the Cobalto Trench is associated again to the subduction of the Celebes Sea toward the east.
The recent earthquake is only the latest in a long list of natural disasters that have struck the Philippines. For decades, the country has faced some of the world's most powerful earthquakes, deadliest typhoons, and most destructive volcanic eruptions. Let's look at some of the most devastating disasters the Philippines has ever experienced. Just last year, on the 30th of September, an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 struck the Visayas archipelago in the country. It was the strongest earthquake ever recorded in northern Cebu and the deadliest in the Philippines since 2013. Its epicenter was located off the coast of Cebu province in the central Visayas region. The earthquake killed at least 79 people and injured 1,271 others. A total of around 185,900 homes and $329.62 million worth of infrastructure and other items were damaged. Now let's tell you about another nature extreme that hit the region. On the 8th of November 2013, Typhoon Haiyan, also known as Super Typhoon Yolanda, battered the Philippines. Torrential rains and winds reached nearly 321 kilometers per hour, equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. This made Haiyan one of the most powerful typhoons ever, damaging or destroying more than 90% of structures in its path. Almost 7,000 people lost their lives and many were left injured. More than 16 million people were affected across 12,000 villages in 44 provinces. 1.1 million houses were damaged or destroyed, and total damages were estimated at $2 billion. Among the worst affected areas were the central islands of Leyte and Samar, and made landfall over the eastern Visayas. From there it moved in an easterly direction, then north towards Vietnam and China over the coming days. Typhoon Bopa, also known locally as Pablo, was a compact but powerful and catastrophic tropical cyclone that became the strongest on record to ever affect the Philippine island of Mindanao, making landfall as a Category 5 super typhoon with winds of 282 kilometers per hour in December 2012. The storm caused widespread destruction in Mindanao, leaving thousands of people homeless and killing at least 1,901 people. In addition to the casualties, the storm caused an estimated $3.7 billion in damages to agriculture and infrastructure. And then the country has been battered by volcanic eruptions too. The year was 1991. The Mount Pinatubo eruption became one of the largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century. The eruption sent an ash cloud 40 kilometers into the atmosphere. The eruption killed 847 and affected a total of 364 communities and 2.1 million people, with livelihoods and houses being damaged and destroyed. The Philippines may be one of the world's most disaster-prone countries, but it is not a country that faces these threats unprepared. The Philippines has built one of the most active disaster management systems in the region. Over the past 2 decades, the Philippines has built a nationwide disaster risk reduction system designed to respond to earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and typhoons. At the heart of this system is the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDR-RMC. Unlike many countries, the Philippines follows a highly decentralized model. Local governments play a major role in preparedness and response operations. When it comes to earthquake preparedness, Japan is often considered the global benchmark. Like the Philippines, Japan sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire. But decades of investment have allowed the country to develop some of the world's most advanced disaster-resilient infrastructure. Strict building codes require structures to withstand powerful earthquakes. Many buildings use shock-absorbing technologies designed to reduce damage during seismic events. From an early age, citizens are taught to respond during earthquakes, tsunamis, and other emergencies. Experts say the Philippines has made significant progress in disaster preparedness, but Japan's advanced technology, infrastructure, and public training systems still set the global standard.
Japan had a lot of troubles. They had more than 5,000 killed people during the Kobe earthquake in the 90s. They have more than 20,000 people killed during the Tohoku earthquake in 2011. So even Japan, which has a very advanced culture in terms of being prepared to the next earthquakes, even so, they suffered tremendous tsunamis. They had important damages with the earthquakes. So even New Zealand with Christchurch, with the magnitude even smaller, they had tremendous damages. So I think every country is activating themselves to the next earthquake.
Earthquakes, typhoons, flooding, volcanic eruptions, and landslides all pose threats. According to the World Bank Index 2025, the Philippines remains the most disaster-prone nation on Earth, ranked first in the list. For countless poor families, they are trapped between danger and starvation. The homeless are often pushed to the edges, coasts, riverbanks, and steep hillsides, where every disaster threatens to erase what little they have. With 60% of its population living in coastal areas and sensitivity to the El Niño phenomenon, the recent earthquake is a reminder of the risks that come with living at the crossroads of powerful tectonic plates. For the Philippines, it is about resilience, but the challenge is to survive and reduce the impact of a disaster when it arrives.